Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you all will be fine. I welcome you all in Peshawar Model Girls High School to online video lecture. Today we are going to start the chemistry chapter number 16, which is chemical industry for class 10th and page number 187. The student learning outcomes of this chapter are that after the explanation of this chapter, the students will be able to learn about some chemical industries. The main industry is the metallurgy, in which the copper metal will be discussed, how it can be extracted and how it can be make usable. Then some of the other chemicals include the washing soda and the baking soda, which will be manufactured in the solvent process, and urea manufacturing will also be discussed here. And the students will be able to know how the crude oil is converted into the useful products, that is the diesel and petroleum and some other fraction of the petroleum. Come towards the industry. What industry is? You all are familiar with the term industry, and it is the factory in which the economical activities are concerned with the processing of the raw materials and manufacturing of the goods. The raw materials are the basic substances which are used to manufacture some important products. And industry is one of the major rapidly growing industry businesses, we can say, because the rapidly growing population needs to rise their standards of living, and scientists have devised some of the methods for preparing the cheaper substances which are obtained from the natural sources. The chemical industry play a very much important role in the economy of a country, and it is also having a role in the conversion of the low cost material into the useful products. Some of the most important industries include the fertilizer, the pharmaceutical means the medicines industry, the detergent, the food products, plastic, paints and synthetic fiber, and soap and glass industry are also included in the one of the most important industries. Petroleum refinery is one of the major one, and it is called the petrochemicals, because in the petroleum is obtained in the form of crude oil, which is not at all usable, and it is a useless mixture of useful substances. So in this industry, these useful substances will be extracted, will be separated from this useless mixture. So now let me start the very first industry, which is called the metallurgy, and it is very much vast industry, and it has given a place as a new branch of chemistry. Means to say that metallurgy is now discussed as a new branch of chemistry. It shows the importance and the vast usage of this industry. Metallurgy, basically, as the name is indicating, it is related with the metals. The very first step is the extraction of the metal from its ore, then its purification and alloying of the metal and making it able to use the substances. All of these procedures are included in the term metallurgy. It is a removal of the useful products, useful metals from their ores. There comes some of the new terminologies which we are going to use in this metallurgical operations. The very first one is called the ore. Ore is a naturally occurring solid material from which the ore metal is extracted, or we can say that the ore is the aggregate, the sum or the collection of the mineral and impurities in the is called the ore. Now there is another term which to which you all peoples are familiar, which is called the mineral. Mineral is the metallic compound in which the metal is present in the combined form. And also, as we are obtaining all of these substances from the earth crust in the form of the mineral, so obviously there will be some rocky and sandy portion which is called the gangue particles. So combinedly the mineral and gangue particles are combinedly making up the ore, and first of all this ore to be treated. Now why there occurs the mineral? Why we cannot obtain the metal in their pure form? It depends upon the reactivity of the metal. The metal can occur either in the free state when they are stable ones, and they are inert metal, or either they will be in the combined form. So those metals which are obtained in the which are present in the free form, they are very much expensive, as they are difficult to extract. Means to say that they are present in a very much depth, and there should be some specific methodologies used for the extraction of such metal, including the gold, the silver and the platinum, etc. They are unreactive metal, and they do not react with the air and the water. So there comes another one category of the metals which are most reactive one. They can never be found in the free form, like the sodium, the calcium, potassium, etc., and these are affected by the water, air and other chemicals. Generally they occur in the combined state. When we say combined state, so it means that the metal is present with some other metal or in the combination with the non-metal. Majority of the compounds are present in their sulfide form, means the sulfur combination will be there, or their carbonates or oxide will be there. Let us consider, for example, lead sulfide, the zinc sulfide, iron oxide, aluminum oxide and calcium fluoride. As you can observe that we are having some non-metallic combination with the metals, so we need to extract these from that one. There we discussed some basic metallurgical operation. Dear students, each and every metal needs to be followed the same basic methods for their extraction, and there is not a single extraction method, and it depends upon the nature of the metal and its combination. Means to say that we cannot follow a single method for the extraction of all sort of metals. Each and every metal and each and every combination needs to follow some different steps, because metals exist in various form of the combined state, like the oxide, sulfide, halide, carbonate, silicate, sulfide and phosphate, etc. So metals are extracted from their ores by variety of methods. It depends upon their reactivity. So the reactive metals like the sodium, potassium, calcium, and aluminum, they are extracted by electrochemical process. As the name is indicating, electrochemical industry. Electrochemical conversion will be done. Some of the electrolysis will be done for the refining, and some other chemical procedures will also be there. And some of the low reactive metals like the iron and the copper, etc., they are entirely obtained by the chemical methods. Now, which method to be followed, electrochemical method or the chemical method? It depends upon the type of the metal. Secondly, the type of the ore. Either we are extracting the metal from their sulfide carbonates or the halide part, reactivity of the metal contained in the ore, and nature of the gangue particle which is present in the ore. All of these factors are involved in the selection of the method. So general steps which are involved in the metallurgy are, all of the metals follow the same procedure. First we have to concentrate the ore, then the oxidation, reduction, and finally the refining procedure will be done. Here we are going to discuss the copper metal, the extraction of the copper metal. And we know that copper metal is very much important in the electrical industry, as it is a good conductor of electric current, and it will should be extracted. So large quantities of the copper is obtained from their ore. First of all, let we have a look at the combination in which the copper is present. So copper can be present in their oxide ore form like the cuprite Cu2O, and the sulfide ores can also be there, that is the chalcopyrite and chalcocite, etc. So here we are going to extract the metal from the chalcopyrite ore, and we will discuss the steps involved in it. Now, the first step is a concentration of the ore. Concentration basically needs the increase in the quantity of the ore. As we have discussed that the ore is the combination of mineral and gangue particles. So the very first step is to concentrate it. We have to remove the earthy materials, and it is also called the removal of the useless rocky portion of the ore is called the concentration of the ore. It is also called the enrichment or dressing of the ore. And why there is a need to do the concentration of this ore? Because the sand and the rocky material, if they are present along with the ore, so it will be difficult to handle it. Secondly, obviously we are doing some heating procedures, so the fuel consumption will also be high if we are treating the ore along with the impurities. So the impurities needs to be removed, and these impurities are called the gangue, or it can also be called the matrix. So these matrix to be removed first. Now there are different procedures for the concentration of the ore. The very first thing is the crushing and the grinding of the ore. The first step in the process is where large ores are broken down into smaller pieces using the crushers, and crushing is typically done in under dry condition. The second step will be the grinding. In the grinding process, the smaller pieces are ground into fine powder using a ball mill or a stamp mill. It is the type of grinding machines. We can say that the grinders are having different types. Either they will be used in the form of ball mill or stamp mill. Grinding mills can be operated wet or dry, but wet grinding is more common. Means to say, crushing is done in a dry environment, dry conditions are applied, while grinding is done in the wet or dry both. So when this powder is formed, the ore which is reduced means it is converted into fine powder form. This process is called the pulverization. In Urdu we can say the pulverization is pisna. When we do the production of the powder, when we produce the hard substance into powder form, so this process is called the pulverization. So after this, let me discuss some of the concentration methods. So when we crush and grind all of these substances, so in this way, after that, ores are concentrated to sufficient degree of purity by simply picking it with the hand and breaking the rock stones with the hammer. Fine. So as a whole, when we are having ore, so it is crushed, so small bigger lumps can be collected through the hand, and this is simply called the hand picking. And other concentration method is the hydraulic washing. Dear students, depending upon the type and the density of the ore and the gangue, we can suggest we can follow different methods. The second method which we are going to discuss here is the hydraulic washing, and it is called the gravity separation. As the name is indicating, gravity separation, gravity basically work upon the heavier substances the most. So here we are going to differentiate the gangue and the ore by on the basis of their heaviness. So hydraulic washing is a method which is used to concentrate ore by separating them from the impurities using the gravity method. Let the crushed ore, which is already crushed in the pulverization process, so it is poured on a hydraulic classifier. The table is called the hydraulic classifier, and it is a vibrating inclined table with grooves. Inclined means it is a little bit slanting, and grooves means it is having some sort of zigzag structure in which there will be deep slopes and the high slopes. So wash the then after that the ore is washed with the controlled flow of water. When the water, imagine we have poured the crushed powder, and then we have poured the water on it. So the lighter materials will flow along with the water. They will be washed away, and the heavier particles will stuck in the grooves. So the ore and the gangue particles are separated based on their differences in the density. The heavier ore particles will settle down. Here the ore is heavy, so it will settle down, while the lighter impurities are carried away with the water. And here we are having a picture diagrammatical representation of the hydraulic classifier. You can see that it is having grooves. The zigzag structures are called the grooves, and from one of the side the powdered ore is poured, and from the other side the water is flown through that. So difference in the gravity will cause the lighter particles, the lighter gangue particles, to wash away, and the heavy particles will settle at the grooves, and these heavy particles are of the ore, and they are collected from this, and they are subjected towards the next process. This is what this type of method, the hydraulic washing, is used for that ores which are heavier. Now the second type, which is basically done for the sulfide ores, and as we are talking about the copper, so copper sulfide, the chalcopyrite is considered, and it is containing the sulfur in it. Sulfur ores are lighter in weight, so we are following the froth flotation process. Froth means jog, and when the ore will be floating in the form of froth, so it will be collected by this. And this process depends upon the wetting of the ore and the gangue with pine oil and water. The basic phenomena here is the hydrophobic and hydrophilic nature of the gangue and the ore. Hydrophobic means the fear of water, means to say when when the ore is of nature which will not like the water, so it will get attached with the pine oil, and as the pine oil is lighter, the ore is lighter, so they will float at the surface. While the gangue particles which are heavier and they are hydrophilic in nature, they are water lover, and they are easily reacting with the water, so they will settle along with the water at the base. Here we are using the froth flotation process for the extraction of copper from their sulfide ore by separating the copper mineral from other materials in a slurry form. Slurry means we have crushed the ore, which is already done in the very first step. The crushed ore is mixed with the water and oil. A few drops of oil will be added, and it will make a slurry fine. Then the reagents will be added, like the chemicals will be added, and there will be a agitation. Now you can see in the diagram that there is an agitator, and agitator, the function of this agitator is to agitate vigorously the solution, and if there is any sort of ore present at the bottom, so it will come and it will float at the surface of the water, and it will be collected from the top, and it will be then washed away. A blast of compressed air is blown through the pipe of a rotating agitator to produce froth, and so that's why there are two type of compounds, the ore and the gangue. The gangue will settle down along with the water, as the water is heavier as compared to the pine oil, and the ore particles which are lighter in weight, and they will be aggregated by the oil, and they will come at the top. In this way the concentration will be done. The very first step of the metallurgy is done, which is called the concentration of the ore. We discussed two basic methods for the concentration. Number one was the hydraulic washing, and number two is the froth flotation. Depending upon the nature and the heaviness of the ore, the first step was done, and that is the hydraulic washing, in which the ore was heavy and that was settled down. The second step basically is followed for the sulfide ore, which are lighter in weight, so they will collect at the top. And the third process is called the magnetic separation. Magnetic separation, as the name is indicating, in which in this type of separation, it is a physical method. Physical method means all of these three are physical methods: the hydraulic washing, the froth flotation, and the magnetic separation. All of these are physical methods. As the name is indicating, that magnetic separation, if we are having some magnetic and non-magnetic components in a mixture, so we can create a magnetic field which will collect all the magnetic portion, and it will get separated from the non-magnetic substances. This is the magnetic separation, a diagrammatical representation of magnetic separation, in which the powdered ore will be passed through a roller, in which the non-magnetic and the magnetic particles will easily be separated from each other. Now we are going towards the second step, that is the extraction of the metal. Basically we discussed that the metallurgy, it